Hey, hello there. How are you? It's your girl, Miss Straight Talk, No Sugar Added, your life detox coach. It is always my desire to provide tools and nuggets to help, especially when I'm working with my clients, to help them to navigate through life, to remove those things that are absolutely unnecessary, and keeping them from moving forward. And so I'm coming back to you today with a part two of overcoming disappointment. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to go and watch that video, kind of set the foundation for everything that I'm about to say right now. But just to kind of give you a recap, we talked about disappointments, we talked about expectations, we talked about realistic, unrealistic, implicit, and explicit real expectations, and how sometimes having these expectations is what causes us to experience a plethora of disappointments. And so my goal is, and I always tell my clients, I'm not here to change your mind. I only want to offer you a new perspective. So when disappointments come, when they occur again, I want to give you some tips, tools, and nuggets on how to navigate through that. So we ended off in the previous video talking about what happens when we have these expectations and we're constantly let down and experience these disappointments. So here are a few ways for me. So I'm going to give you some things that I've done, and really putting in full force in this coming year, this new year. And I call it just giving it my A game. Like when you say your A game, like you give it your best high performance. And it's about a high performance for me. It's about the performance I want to experience in my life that's going to take me to those next levels. We can't get there if we're always down, disappointed, sad, and feeling dejected and rejected. No, I'm not trying to experience those things. And that's what disappointment brings with it. So I'm not carrying those things with me. Another day, another month, another year. So here are some things that I have in my A game. You can get your pencil or you can go back and watch the video again. So first of all, address it. I like to address, I'm a communicator, so I like to address the matter, to let the person know that I was disappointed and what that disappointment caused me to experience. So I have learned to stop kind of pointing the finger. You made me feel this way. You did this to me. Instead, I say, my experience with what you said was this. My experience with what you did was this. And so gain clarity, share, your experience, how it made you feel, and then just kind of leave it. Just put that out there because you're only responsible for how you feel. You're only responsible for what you do. And so another thing I do is, hey, whatever the response was, I appreciate whatever effort was made to avoid the disappointment. Because at the end of the day, I don't think anybody wakes up with a goal in mind. Now, some people do. You got to watch out for those vicious folks. Hopefully they're not in your circle. But they didn't wake up to disappoint you. So just appreciate the effort that was made. And sometimes, like I said, people don't mean to disappoint us, but they do. So don't minimize the attempt. Don't come back with, well, you know what, that wasn't enough. This is what, okay, you know what? I appreciate and I acknowledge that. So let's do that. So then avoid. So after you've said what you said, they said what they said, avoid being confrontational about their response or their lack thereof. Some people just aren't communicators, and you ought to know this by now if you're connected to this person or these people. Like, don't just avoid being confrontational, because in their mind and to them, it's a reasonable and acceptable response. Because if it wasn't, they would have done better. So for them, in their mind, sometimes that's all you're going to get from them. Like if it wasn't, they would have done better and you would not be disappointed. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know the person. You do. I don't know the situation. You do. But avoid being confrontational, because then that takes you on a whole nother level, because now that you arguing about it and you being confrontational, you have this expectation of a response to be different to make you feel better. Nope, that's not going to happen. Just avoid being confrontational. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, friend. Thank you, cousin. Thank you, auntie, whoever. Thank you for that. So here's the one where I think you're going to have a problem with. And I talked about this in one of my videos in my 16 video series on Who's Your Baggage, Releasing the Dead Weight. And if you have not checked those out, go check them out. But here's the last one of the A game. You got to accept. Now, the first thing of acceptance is I have to accept the responsibility that I played in contributing to the disappointment. I have a part that I played, and I have to acknowledge that. And a lot of times we don't want to have that self-awareness to say, hey, what did I do that could have caused this disappointment? And part of it is I have to accept that I expected too much from the person. Sometimes we expect too much from people because we expect them to give or to be on a level that we are, and sometimes they just aren't. So now I have to accept the responsibility that I expected too much from you. Now, when I can honestly get that cleared and get that out of the way, then I can kind of move on. Sometimes we have to accept that we need to move away from a situation because our expectations are too unrealistic. Sometimes we join organizations, we connect with people, we go work at jobs, we go do this, having this and then we want to blame the other person for the expectation that we had. Now, it's one thing if you have a conversation and everybody is talking about their expectations and now there's an understanding and they say whether they can meet it or not. That's a whole nother thing. If everyone has agreed that they can meet that expectation, that's a whole nother conversation. And then sometimes we need, like I said, move away from situations that are too unrealistic. And sometimes we keep trying to fix a situation that's completely broken and unrepairable. Like, stop it. Stop trying to change people. Focus on changing yourself. And when you change yourself, the energy that you are projecting will bring the right people into your life or the right situation. Sometimes we're staying on jobs, antagonizing people that we work with when we really need to just move on. Or sometimes we are, we can be in relationships with friends or, dating or whatever. And sometimes, a lot of times people don't want to talk about this. Sometimes you're just not in good relationships with your kids or your parents or your very close relatives, your grandparents. You have to set boundaries. And that's something that I'm doing for myself this year. So second, I have to accept that people are going to be who they are, act the way they act, and do what they do because it works for them. And it works for them because that's where they want to be. And if people want to be in your life, or if a situation is meant for you, then it will gel. There will be balance. There will be harmony in that. And so that's how I am working through avoiding and overcoming disappointments. I'm addressing the situation. I'm appreciating their response, whatever their reason was. I'm avoiding confrontation and conflict with it. And I'm just accepting. I accept my part in it. And then I accept the part that, that they are who they are and they are not going to change. So I'm hoping that you got something out of this. Like, definitely comment. Please share. Growing this YouTube channel, wanting to have conversations with folks, and just, these are some things that I share with people when I coach, when I do professional development, when I train. So hopefully you got something out of this. Again, it's your girl, Miss Straight Talk, No Sugar Added, your life detox coach, helping you to overcome disappointment. So definitely give the thumbs up and the feedback. Subscribe and share. Definitely. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.